The first item of business this afternoon is a statement by Alex Salmond on Scotland's independence referendum. The First Minister will take questions at the end of his statement, and there should therefore be no interventions or interruptions. I call on Alex Salmond. First Minister, you have 15 minutes.
Presiding Officer, I am delighted to lead a government that today introduces a bill offering the people the opportunity to vote for an independent Scotland. The Scottish Independence Referendum Bill is the most important legislation to be introduced since our Scottish Parliament was reconvened, not in itself, but what it enables Scotland to achieve with the powers of an independent country. Now, the parties in this chamber disagree fundamentally about the merits of independence. However, it is important to acknowledge the referendum bill itself is a product of consensus and cooperation. The Edinburgh Agreement, which the Prime Minister and I signed last October, has been followed by legislation in this Parliament and Westminster which gives our Parliament the unchallengeable authority to organise the referendum. In drafting the bill which enables that referendum, the Scottish Government has been aided by the 26,000 responses we received in our consultation on this legislation. As a result, we are today meeting the commitment we gave under the Edinburgh Agreement. The independence referendum will be designed, built, delivered in Scotland. It will meet the highest international standards of fairness and transparency, and it will ask the very clear question, approved by the Electoral Commission: should Scotland be an independent country? We should not underestimate the importance to the wider world of a nation deciding its future by debate and democracy. It is something we should all take pride in, whether yes or no, that our ancient nation of Scotland is making its way in the 21st century according to the highest possible standards of popular consent. I will set out the most significant provisions of the referendum, though given the extent of prior consultation, these will not come as a great surprise. The bill makes clear that the Electoral Commission will have overall responsibility for overseeing the referendum. It sets out detailed arrangements for the conduct of the referendum, including arrangements for polling stations, voting and counting procedures, postal and proxy voting. All of these are in line with procedures for Scottish Parliament elections. And it ensures that spending during the 16-week campaign period will obey the limits proposed by the Electoral Commission, just as both governments will abide by the strictures of the 4-week election period. This bill does not set out who can vote in the referendum. Provisions to enable 16- and 17-year-olds to vote are included in the Scottish Independence Referendum Franchise Bill, which we published earlier this month. The Franchise Bill defines who is eligible to vote in the referendum, and that, of course, includes service and Crown personnel. Overall, the bill ensures that the referendum will be internationally recognised as a fair, open and truly democratic process. There is no doubt that in the months that follow we will see vigorous discourse and discussion on both sides of the independence debate. In the Ayrts and Pairts and communities, the length and breadth for Scotland. It is incumbent upon all of us as parliamentarians to lead by example and ensure that this level of hugely important debate matches the expectations of the people who elected us. Devolution has already shown how this Parliament has used its current powers to improve lives. Police and justice reforms have helped cut crime and reoffending. We have begun to tackle Scotland's long-standing public health problems through this public smoking ban, legislation for minimum alcohol pricing. And throughout the Parliament's history, under successive administrations, we have used our powers for progressive purposes, such as free personal care, pioneering homelessness legislation, an end to tuition fees, protecting the National Health Service. With a measure of independence on health and education and law and order, we have all contributed to Scotland being a better place. So let us consider what we could do with Scottish control of the economy, of international representation and of security. We know that last year Scotland stood £4.4 billion sterling better off than the rest of the UK. That's £824 for every man, woman and child in the country. But we don't have the ability to invest or save that money to the benefit of future generations. On international representation, why should we wish to be represented by the sceptics of Europe when we could be influential and respected? On defence, why would this nation of 5.25 million people elect to waste billions on weapons of mass destruction when we still have thousands waiting for a decent home and a life chance? Presiding Officer, next year the choice facing the people is one of two futures. A no vote means a future of governments we didn't vote for imposing cuts and policies we don't support. A yes vote means a future where we can be certain, 100% certain, that the people of Scotland will get the government they vote for. Figures from the United Nations published in 2009 showed that of all the world's richest nations, income inequality in the United Kingdom was among the highest. The draconian welfare reforms, such as cuts to child benefits, the bedroom tax, will only serve to make that situation worse. That is despite 90% of Scottish MPs voting against these measures. Now, this Parliament can and will continue to take decisions to try and mitigate the very worst of these ill-thought-out policies. But the key word, Presiding Officer, is mitigate. Until we have the full powers of independence, we cannot prevent them from being imposed upon the people of Scotland. So the choice becomes clearer with each passing day. The opportunity to use our vast resources and talent to build a better country, or to continue with a Westminster system that simply isn't working for Scotland. Presiding Officer, it's worth reflecting just for a moment on the privilege that this nation and this generation will have. Nothing less than choosing the future course of our country, a democratic referendum made here in Scotland. We have been on a journey since 1999, since the restoration of our Parliament here in the heart of our ancient capital. We have witnessed a growing confidence, an increase in democratic accountability. I am honoured to announce that on Thursday, the 18th of September 2014, we will hold Scotland's referendum, a historic day where the people will decide Scotland's future. That day, 547 days from now, is the day we take responsibility for our country, when we're able to speak with our own voice, choose our own direction and contribute in our own distinct way. The day we stand on our own 2 feet to claim a future where we will not stand alone, when we gain a new, more modern relationship with the other nations of the UK, a true partnership of equals, when we'll be part of a European framework, but on an equal basis, and when we will engage as a responsible member of the international community. Presiding Officer, it will require effort and commitment to make our country as good as we know it can be, to secure prosperity and social justice. I believe on the 18th September 2014, the people of Scotland will vote yes to create a better country than we have now, one we can pass on with pride to the next generation.